So recently signed free agent wide receiver Anthony Miller, who's a second-round pick with 1,500 career receiving yards, is catching some eyes at Baltimore Ravens training camp after being signed 2 days ago, showing some speed, some juice, and some playmaking ability, looking to make an impact on this Ravens squad. We got Todd Monken and Zachary Orr addressing the media today about several key players that are absolutely vital to the Ravens trying to make a Super Bowl run this year. Lamar Jackson uncorks a 65-yard bomb to Nelson Aguilar, other practice highlights, and much more. So welcome in to another episode of Ravens Reports. It's your guy Noah here with For the Flock as always, bringing you all our top 5 news reports and storylines coming out of our Ravens today. Let's dive in. At number 1, starting with the wide receiver Anthony Miller. Here's what Todd Monken had to say.
Same with Miller. You can see his explosiveness. You can see him getting in and out of breaks. How important the game is. He enjoys playing the game.
It's also reported that he caught a long touchdown today, and Jeff Zrebiec reports that Miller has had 2 strong first days of practice and clearly has fresh legs. He has 1,589 receiving yards in his career with 12 touchdowns, a second-round pick in 2018, the same draft that Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews came out of. And both John Harbaugh and Todd Monken have said good things about this wide receiver, looking to make this roster and make some plays for Lamar Jackson. The Ravens are obviously not satisfied with their wide receiver room because actions speak louder than words, right? You know, they've recently added Russell Gage and Anthony Miller, 2 veteran wide receivers, within the last week. Another guy to keep your eye out on is the free agent receiver Hunter Renfrow, who had a 1,000-yard season, has made a ton of plays. A 2019 draft pick, 3 of his 5 seasons have went over 600 yards, with his last 2 seasons being some down years dealing with some injuries. He has 2,800 receiving yards and 17 touchdowns, and was one of Derek Carr's top targets whenever he was still in Vegas. Let me know in the comment section below how you guys feel about Anthony Miller and the possibility of signing the receiver Hunter Renfrow. At number 2, let's talk about this secondary that made a ton of plays today. Starting with Brandon Stephens having multiple pass breakups today, continues to stack his very strong training camp. His name comes up almost every single day of him making some big time plays. We get so excited about Marlon Humphrey and Kyle Hamilton and, you know, the rookie Nate Wiggins and all these talented secondary pieces. And then sometimes you forget about a guy like Brandon Stephens, who was your best corner in coverage last year. He's in a contract year and is looking to have the best season of his career. That's really good for the Ravens secondary, and I'm here for it. Another highlight of practice today was Kyle Hamilton returning after missing a few days of practice with that injury scare. He was a full go today, flying around as usual. He broke up a deep pass intended for Zay Flowers. Just a reminder, I know we've talked about it before, but in an earlier interview with Zach Orr, he said the expectations, the bar set for Kyle Hamilton is for him to have a Defensive Player of the Year type of performance while he's in Baltimore. That's the expectation and the talent level for the All-Pro Kyle Hamilton. We also had our Darius Washington stacking another day of impressive training camp practices. Had a pick 6 on Josh Johnson today and just keep stacking days. It's reported if Washington was on the bubble, the roster bubble coming into camp, it's hard to believe he still is. He's playing well enough to where it's easy to see him playing a role in defense week 1. And then Zach Orr backed that up in his interview, saying that he's going to make a ton of plays for the Ravens defense this year. At number 3, check out what Zach Orr had to say on David Ojabo.
Man, I'm excited about David Ojabo just from the standpoint of he's finally healthy enough to stack days of practice, and I think you see that from when he first started practicing to now, is he's getting better and better and better. And we know what type of talent he is. He's strong, he's big, he's athletic, he's fast, he's mean, everything we look for in the outside linebackers. And all he needed to do was just get the reps, and he's getting these great reps out here. So I'm really excited about him. He continues on the path he's going. He stays locked in, he keeps working like he's working, and God willing, he stays healthy. He's going to have a great year.
We were just talking about David Ojabo coming back from injury. He wasn't cleared to play in the first preseason game. Hopefully he's cleared for at least one of the upcoming following preseason games before he goes out there in regular season action. David Ojabo ran a 4.5. He had a breakout year his last year in college with a ton of sacks at the time in Mike McDonald's Wolverine-led defense. Towards Achilles at his pro day, and ultimately fell to the second round after he was supposed to be a top 10, 15 type of draft pick in the first round. But the Ravens got a steal on him. Can that steal, that type of talent that they have, remain on the field, continue to stack practice days, Zach Orr is optimistic about him. And the other guy, you know, if these two guys have a breakout year, the Ravens defense is going to be absolutely amazing. The pieces are everywhere else, the secondary, the linebackers, the D-line with Matabike and Michael Pierce and Broderick Washington and all these boys up front, Travis Jones. If the pass rush, if these edge rushers get after it with Jabo and Owe, this defense is going to be absolutely nasty. Here's what he had to say on Owe.
The sky's the limit for Dafe, man. Like, Daf has had a great training camp. This is the best training camp I've seen him have since we've been together. And I do agree, like, stats are one thing, but when you cut on the film and see, you know, QB pressures or just causing havoc, him drawing a double team, getting pressure for somebody else or a sack for somebody else, we count that as stats as coaching staff. That might not necessarily show up as a stat in the stat sheet. Yeah, we do expect Goff to play even more and be even more disruptive and more explosive, and stats to go up because he's the guy. You know what I mean? He's the guy. And like I said earlier, the better Dafe Owe is, the better his defense and the better his team's gonna be. And I'm excited about it. This dude, he comes every single day, locked in, focused, ready to work, and that's great to see. Like, I'm really excited to see him when we get out there and really get going because he got a different level of intensity.
At number 4, the Ravens took a ton of deep shots at practice today, continuing to work on their downfield passing attack. Nelson Aguilar caught a 65-yard bomb touchdown from Lamar Jackson. Mark Andrews also caught a deep touchdown, at no surprise, and so did Anthony Miller. But there were also a number of incompletions and a few drops. It's also reported that Nelson Aguilar had a few more drops. That's been the biggest issue in his career, is dropping some of the easy ones that hit you right in the hands. We just talked about that yesterday. But obviously, Lamar still trusts him. He hit him for a 65-yard bomb today, and I think he's going to be a big part of the offense this year. At number 5, we talked about Nate Wiggins yesterday, about the PFF score he put up with a 90.2 grade, you know, the highest grade among all first-round rookies. And his defensive coordinator, Zach Orr, was not surprised. Here's what he had to say.
If he was around the ball. Nah, that's what we expect, man. I mean, we seen that his college tape. We've seen it out here throughout training camp. Now, I was a little surprised they went after him early so often, but one thing that you recognize real early in pregame, that like when the lights came on, he was ready, and that's one thing you want to see. So his confidence was through the roof even before the game started. So it was great to see Nate go out there and make those plays. Those are plays that we expected him to make, but it's good when you see him go out there and do it. I think that that's just real good for his confidence.
All right, guys, so we're officially 23 days away from kickoff in the NFL season opener against the Kansas City Chiefs. And the last time we saw the Chiefs, we had our hearts ripped out of our chests as the Ravens were just a few plays away from being in a Super Bowl championship where Lamar Jackson would, you know, have his first opportunity to get that ring that he's been desperately wanting since he entered the league in 2018. He's got 2 MVPs, but he's talked about how bad he wants that ring, and that's what he's chasing above all else. And that journey starts in 23 days. The first regular season game against the Chiefs. The Ravens obviously want to start the season off right. We got so much to look forward to. I can't wait to see Derrick Henry hopefully get like 25, 30 touches against the Kansas City Chiefs, and these tight ends being featured, which we're going to talk about in our game preview versus the Chiefs. We got all that and more, so make sure you got that subscribe and notification bell so you don't miss anything. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.
When he wasn't looking, he ran me over.